So here we are at the Pepcom Digital Experience at CES 2019, and I'm pleased to have a couple of, is it right to say AV tweeps? Should we say that way?
Honorary AV tweep.
Honor, yeah, maybe, okay. Yeah. Well, Adrian Catelyn is with me, who runs the Daily DOO, right?
Yeah, that's the Daily Do.
Daily Do, okay, and we're taking a look at the digital experience here, looking at some technology. Adrian's been setting up in the hall. What are you expecting to see at CES this year? What are the bigger themes you're thinking about?
Well, that's a good question, and it opens up. Do you want me to hold that for you?
Sure.
It's what are we expecting to see? Well, we do CES every 2 years, and that's something that a good friend of ours told us many years ago. So we come every other year just to see what is sort of happening. I'm not convinced about CES from an AV perspective all the time. I mean, you walk the halls and I probably have more negatives about CES than positives for the AV industry. And you know, our specialty is out of home, advertising, billboards, digital out of home, etc. We cover smart cities a little bit as well. You know, you'd have to hunt through every single hall to find something as of interest to you if you're a specialist. Even if you're a retailer, what would you look for? Where would you go? What hall do you go to? So that really is the big issue with CES. It's got too big, but there's no sense to what's in a hall. At least when you go to Infocom, it's pretty much spread out. If you want to talk about microphones, you know where to go. If you want to talk about screens, you know where to go. You know, you can always find the big people, the LGs, the Samsungs, the Sonys. And I guess that's why there is an AV interest in the show. But you take the hall, we've got a broadcast set, thanks to Stampede Global, in the Convention Center South Hall. And to get to it, you have to go through lots of drones. Well, Stampede have a big business in drones, so that's not a problem for them. But beyond us, there's a couple of really interesting face technology companies and a couple of Chinese companies doing retail. But I don't think any retailers who get to LVCC would go all the way to the back of the South Hall. We're in Hall 2, which is the very end of it. Once you get to drones, you're going to stop and turn around and think, what sort of show I'm in? And I had an AV conversation on Sunday with a number of the people who do the AV and the AM stuff, Chris Netto's thing that he does on Sundays. And they were talking about the show, and is it worthwhile coming? If you turn up at the monorail here at the convention center, you'd think you've gone to a car show. So there's so much going on. So I haven't answered your question, I've just been rather negative a little bit.
I mean, fair.
There's some great stuff. I mean, the thing that Samsung announced yesterday with their new micro LED stuff seems to be pushing things along. Obviously, there's an AV interest in the LG rollable OLED stuff. Nobody talks about how expensive it is. And I know for you AV tweets, I'm only an honorary AV tweet because I don't understand most of what you talk about. I probably understand maybe 10%. But if you're into cameras and phones and microphones and click share type products and things, there's lots for you here, but you have to hunt them down.
Well, I would agree with you that the show's gotten too big. That's a conversation I've actually had with the CTA staff recently, that it could be broken down into 2 or 3 or 4 shows of different interest. But what's happening, and only the most astute people will realize it, is that whether we're talking about the connected car, or we're talking about 5G, or we're talking about artificial intelligence, or virtual reality, we're talking about the same thing. All of these technologies are converging in ways that nobody ever really imagined, and with consumerization. So that's really the bend. You pick up here that 18-month look ahead about what's going to go on in all of technology. Are there any highlights that you want to see? I mean, you're going to be doing a lot of interviewing, but when you walk around, what are you looking for?
Well, yeah, I guess, for my readers on Daily Do, the thing that we have to do is try and find those companies that would be interesting to like a billboard business. So that's one of the things. That's a very small part of the show. The way we set up CES this year with Stampede is we're interviewing in the afternoon. So we interview from 2 o'clock onwards until the end of the show, which leaves us with the mornings and lunchtime to do other bits and pieces. 2 years ago, when Andrew, my business partner, and I were here, we astutely walked every inch of the show, including Eureka Park. And in the middle of Eureka Park 2 years ago, we found a recycle bin company, solar compacting, all sorts of bits and pieces. And
we're being joined by Catelyn. Say hi, Catelyn.
Hi, how's it going?
Not bad. Let me have...
So, hello, Catelyn. Catelyn's brought some wine from Plantronics as well.
No, of course not.
That's okay, you can drink the wine.
Grape juice. It's grape juice. Finish your point and
then
I'll introduce Catelyn.
So we found a recycling bin company, which was quite interesting. So I think we need to find those companies. There was a couple of companies today doing transportation and smart cities stuff. We'll find those, we'll talk to them, and then we'll write about them. So that's what I'm really looking for from a billboard perspective. The rest of the stuff is interesting as I'm both a consumer and an amateur AV tweep.
And enjoy it. So this is Catelyn Orsini from Plantronics. Did I say your last name correctly?
You got it.
There you go. Catelyn has the honor of actually being at her first CES, and she was at her first Infocom this year, and everybody loved her, right? You did the tweet up this year. So we were talking a little bit about themes and what we expect to see. And the point that I was just making was that all of these technologies are coming together in a way they've never come together before, whether it's AI or voice first or 5G or Bluetooth or any other things. What are you expecting to see here? Why are you here? And what are the themes that you're thinking of? So keep it by your chin. It's not a sensitive mic.
Okay. So I think one of the big things for me is the integration of all the, like you said, there's the different components and then integrating it into a product. So for me, I'm looking for what problem is their product trying to solve, because I know that we're at CES and it's all about technology, but I was on a panel for augmented reality, and we talked about how consumers aren't going to say like, oh, I'm going to go out and buy augmented reality. That's not what they do. They play a game they don't even realize is augmented reality. So what I'm looking for is that problem that someone's trying to solve, and with the technology, it's sort of invisible, right? You don't even know what's behind it.
Let me ask you a question then. As the first time attending at CES, and even a little bit with Infocom, how do you go about finding anything? So you come to the show, Infocom is
Twitter.
pretty large.
I follow David.
That's the answer I think we all wanted, but no, how do you go about finding things?
I'm here with a group from Plantronics that include other technical people. They're on their way here, right? So the real show starts on Tuesday. So it's a mix of what we've seen before, and I get articles on a daily basis of like, go check this out, go figure this out. The email, so it's great. I think it is a bit word of mouth, and then it's also like people like David who tweet about things, and you're like, go check that out. So I think I've never been to this part. I think this is, like David said, this is the best bang for your buck.
The Pepcom people, if they watch this, need to realize that we're only here because of David, who was the most insistent person saying, you need to come, you need to come, you need to come. And I don't think I would have come unless a trusted expert, had said to me, it's a good thing to do. Yeah. I mean, if not being rude, but if a supplier or vendor just said, oh, you need to go along, I probably wouldn't have come.
Well, the interesting thing about, and I do want to give a plug for the Pepcom people, because what they do is really terrific. This is what a trade show should be. There are no big booths. Every booth is the same size. There are no signs. In fact, I hate it because half the people you walk by, you can't tell what they're selling. But you walk to and you speak to the owner of the company, and you can get the products, and in many cases there are samples. And this is really what you come for. The bigger trade show, it's booth and bluster and wandering around and all kinds of other crazy stuff.
Although I will tell you that I found out John Deere is here as an exhibitor, and they brought farm equipment, so I don't know if I don't think that would fit in this room. But anyways, that's not a try before you buy it.
So in John Deere are in the South Hall 1, lower level. And it's all about AI and agriculture, and they've got a big green and yellow combine harvester in their stand. It's pretty impressive, with some projection, I think, in front of it, which wasn't running when I saw setup, but that's the way it works. So you should go and see that one. No, the Pepcom thing's interesting because we've been pulled into a number of stands by lovely young men and women. As you walk past, they look at your badge and you can see, and they will approach you and they will bring you onto the stand, or their booth, if you like, which we like. When you go to the big shows, there's too many people who don't want to be there, and their heads are in their mobile phones. Well, here you have to work at it.
You'll see that tomorrow when the actual CES show opens up. You don't get the same quality of attendees that you get here with media and analysts. This is probably, if I were to guess it, close to my 20th CES. I used to try and do the whole show. I've given that up for about 10 years. Right. The reality is, unless you're coming with a team of 8 or 10 people and dividing it, you're just skimming, you're making some appointments, you're trying to see what you can see. It's the story of the 3 blind men and the elephant. You'll see a different part of the show. You won't even be the same as somebody else, but I still find it worth it for their larger themes. So last words, and then we'll stop this so that we make sure that everybody can get on with the rest of the show. What are you looking most forward to over the next few days?
Well, we've got 4 days of show. We're here until Friday. We're interviewing some interesting media analysts on the Stampede stand. So I'm also going to be learning a lot more about drones, which is a big part of Stampede's business as well. You sneer, but it's a nice consumery type thing. I will go and see the micro LED stuff from Samsung. I'll go and see the LG OLED stuff, which I guess everybody wants to go and see. So, sorry?
You'll see a canyon of OLED. They're just
Yeah, so it'll be the standard Infocom stand. And then I'm sure we'll find a couple of gems that we're right about. I'm sure we will. There's a lot of really good Chinese companies here. I think they struggle in getting themselves noticed. Sometimes I think they choose the wrong show to go to. There's lots and lots of people here, and you look at their stands and you think, you should be in New York. You should be at NRF, the National Retail Federation stuff. Your target audience is retailers, and retailers won't find you here at CES. But there's a lot of great technology. They just lack a way to get noticed, and that's why I asked you one of the questions about how do you find it, because I don't think anybody's really cracked that. I mean, we all live on Twitter and we all have that stuff, but Twitter, remember, is an English language social media network. So none of the Chinese or the Japanese, Korean, Taiwanese companies are necessarily on that following you, and they're not driving traffic to their booths from that. But we'll find some gems. That's what media analysts like David and journalists like myself should do. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
What about you, Kate?
Well, obviously, I'm going to go visit our products that live in the Alexa booth. I kind of want to. They're in the Alexa area in the Venetian, and I kind of want to run in there and just really like shout as loud as I can, like Alexa, and see how many devices respond. But I'm pretty sure they're on mute. And I got a pro tip of just carve out time to walk the floor. So I think a lot of people that attend have meetings stacked up back to back to back. And so as a technologist, it's just going and being surprised by what you see and impressed at the display. I know. Well, I had a pro tip. Actually, I have a really special escort. Hopefully, I don't know if he's watching, but Joe said he might take me around. So you know what, you gotta find the people who are pros and like yourself and take their advice. So.
That's terrific. Guys, thank you for joining me. I think it's going to be a terrific show, and thanks for watching.
And hats off to Pepcom, great event, really good event.
Take care, guys.